20 minutes later, we're almost done. It says I'm downloading file 199 of 204, and my DSL connection is giving me a download rate of 231 kilobytes per second. It estimates will be done in 28 seconds. That's just a rough estimate. I've seen that estimate wander all over the place as it's discovered bigger files or as my download rate has changed. 37 seconds now it's guessing, now a minute. So we'll just keep watching it while it finishes up. When it's done, we'll have the latest, greatest standard version of PC Linux OS updated right to the minute with all of the patches and improvements. Then we can go shopping for additional applications and configure things like OpenOffice. There's really a lot of wonderful free software here, far more than you would get with a Windows installation for free. Applying changes. Oh, now that it's downloaded everything, it needs to actually compile some of the files, link them into the operating system, install them all, configure all of their various configuration options according to the standards and defaults, etc. So this could take a while. Notice as it does each individual package, you get a bar graph advancing from left to right for that package, and then on the bottom you get an overall bar graph showing how it's doing in the entire process. Depending on how long it's been since I've done an upgrade, this could happen very quickly, or it might take a while. In this case, it's going to be a few minutes installing all of these updates. We'll just let that cook. When it's done, it's going to display the list of applications installed, etc., just like it did before, but this time everything will be up to date. Now, it's possible you may have a problem here. Sometimes one or more files is missing from a repository, and it'll ask you, do you want to proceed anyway without it? I don't like to do that. I don't want to do these updates until I've got every single file. So if that happens to you, I recommend you just wait and try it again later. It's also possible you may have some errors during these installation processes and things. If that's the case, it'll stop and tell you that there are errors, and you may see some information notices. Usually they're just non-critical things you can ignore, but once in a while you'll see an error that you might want to write down for future troubleshooting. I'll bet you, though, that in this case, as in most cases, we're going to see everything that won't be too disturbing, and we'll be able to go on. Usually, 99% of the time this works just fine, and no problem. It's really a good system for staying up to date and obtaining free software. It's quite different from the Windows model where you go to the store and buy software and hope it works, and if not, try to get a refund. In Linux, usually everything's free. There are literally thousands, maybe tens of thousands of applications available from this repository free. Other Linux systems are similar. They all typically will have a group of computers on the internet acting as repositories for their free software. It's like now it's installing a kernel module for Broadcom wireless adapters. Wireless adapters have been among the more troublesome areas of Linux because they're new, modern technology, and some of the manufacturers hold some of the secrets of how they work proprietary to them, so that they have to actually plug in an opaque little blob into the kernel for which we don't have source, and it can do a few funny things. Sometimes they don't even work. But as a general rule, the more popular, stable, well-known Wi-Fi cards are going to work just fine. I'd stay away from the very newest radical Wi-Fi cards or Wi-Fi standards if you want to maximize the likelihood of success. And if you have a machine for which the Wi-Fi card does not work, you can generally go to a computer store and buy a USB Wi-Fi adapter, preferably one that's 1 or 2 years old, and they generally will work. Now it's working on my graphics card, the NVIDIA kernel module for GE46 and later cards. So it's installing some optimization to take advantage of my fancy graphic hardware in this computer. This again can take a little while. It's one among the more complicated steps. How long will we be on that? Maybe we've been at this maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes. It's not that difficult. And it's comforting to know you've got the latest, greatest stuff all the time. This helps you to stay resistant to viruses and threats on the internet, and it generally will give you more features and better performance on your computer's hardware and in your applications to see that you're always kept up to date. You always want to be as up to date as you can reasonably manage. Still going. Looks like we're maybe 85% done with this applying changes step. As you can see, most of these individual steps happen very quickly. 95% done now. Just about done. Looks like we might be on the very last file now. I can see that because this bottom bar graph has advanced all the way to the edge. It's working on a live USB application, which is kind of neat. It's a neat utility that allows you to take this same operating system and burn it onto a USB flash drive. And then you can carry it around in your pocket and boot up machines as you travel around. Boot up other people's machines with it and have your own environment. Including updated versions. So if we were to reburn, we can now reburn this operating system to a CD or a DVD or a flash drive and have all these updates. If we wanted to install additional free packages, we could burn those too and have them in the future with us traveling. Okay, here's some messages. It says extra output was generated during package manager operation. I'm going to scroll down these messages, and what I'm looking for are things that say error. Usually if there's an error, it's prominent. You can see it pretty well. These various warnings and information messages are not disturbing. See the warnings? I don't generally worry about warnings, but if I see something that says error, then I'll give real attention to it. But we're almost at the end of the list. There's the end. I did not see any errors, so I think we're done. I think we're good. It'll now reload the repositories, or reload the list of files. And once again, here's our list. We are now fully up to date. I'm going to use File, Quit to close out of Synaptic. I'm now back to my desktop with a fully up-to-date PC Linux OS. Next, there are a few things I like to do to enhance this and make it really powerful. We'll take those one at a time in subsequent segments. That's the end of this one.